is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I do say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do, or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve, so you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I am doing a solo show today, so you guys know what that means. We are going to lead in. We're going to be doing a little bit of a lane analysis here. This new segment of the show is just called This Week in Freight, powered by my friends over at DAT, where we break down a specific lane. This is all viewer submissions, all right? So if you want a lane that you are working on, or maybe you need you need more help reading the lane, I don't need any specifics, but like a shipping city, a delivery city, and weight, or excuse me, a trailer type. I don't need anything else from that. And then we break it down here on the show. Again, this is just my perspective on how I would go out there and assess this market to lock in long-term pricing from our customers, because market volatility, rate increases, decreases, everything, it's all part of the game, you guys. But like, our job is to find that baseline where we can consistently give a price to our shippers, so we can continue to win business from them. But we're going to be doing that here in a second. I always like to bring this up. It's just once a week, you guys. We do our weekly newsletter. It drops every single Wednesday. But I need you to go to my website to sign up for it, thefreightcoach.com. It will auto prompt you to register for it. It drops once a week. It's all market related. All right. So we have a data piece in there, you guys, so you guys can pay attention to some of the headlines going out there in the market as a whole. Diesel prices and a little bit of insight. It's all freight related, you guys. It comes in once a week. But like with all my content, I don't buy downloads or force people to sign up for it. So if you want in on it, go to thefreightcoach.com. If you don't, that's cool. You can just come onto the show and stare at my pretty face. But let's get into this here, you guys. I'm excited on this one because the reefer market is changing a little bit here, or is it a little too premature out there? And we are going to this lane today that was submitted is Nashville, Tennessee, going to Omaha, Nebraska. And at first, I was looking at this one, and I'm like, oh, this is the epitome, excuse me, of stability out there, right? Like if you look at the 1 year marker, 1640 is what it's showing out there. And the 7-day average is now at 1680. But this glaringly obvious rate spike that went in here, what happened during that time frame? And if any of you guys paid attention to the news, which I know it's very challenging to keep up with everything that's going on out there in the world right now, because there's a new headline every 0.4 seconds on why the world's going to end. But there was a pretty big snowstorm that was going on out there, and that's where you saw that spike, okay? And you can see it went up to like $2,500 on this lane is what some people were paying at that time. But again, it's starting to trend back down. So those are those anomalies I want people to pay attention to, because you could see that. And then if you're in the moment, you could snap quote a load and you're going to be a lot higher than everybody else out there, because again, this lane is the epitome of stability. And I want you to pay attention to that stuff, because it's there's going to be times, there's going to be peaks in these markets. But again, we got to look at it is how can we deliver that long-term pricing to our customers? And one thing I literally always do every time I bid a lane, you guys, I like to look at the inverse of this, right? So what do I mean by that? I like to flip it and see, what does the outbound Omaha freight market look like? And when I had checked this one this morning, I actually texted my buddy Cody, A&Z Trucking here out of Arizona. They only do reefer freight, because I'm like, what's going on with this one, man? Because there's a massive spike. And I mean, look at that right now, right? Like this 90-day market here has like shot up like $900 compared to the year average. Yeah, public school math. Sorry there, about $900. We'll talk in general terms. And I was like, dude, what is going on? I'm like, is the Midwest capacity that crushed out there? And he would say, he had brought it up to me. He said that the spike that is coming from this has everything to do with freeze protect with a lot of the freight. And what do I mean by that is now a lot of dry van freight that 90% of the year ships on a van is this time of year is going into freeze protect mode. So they're going to be temping the trailer at like 55, 60 degrees or whatever to keep the product from freezing, obviously. And then that is what's causing this spike. So if you're moving freight out of, I'm assuming Iowa is getting affected by this as well. And that might explain the Minnesota lane a little bit more that we were breaking down last week on this. But, you know, these are those seasonal spikes that you need to pay attention to, that you cannot let that derail your entire year. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you should just willingly lose money on everything. That's not what I'm getting at here, you guys. But what I want you to pay attention to is this line. You never complained if you were making money on a load, right? Say $500, then you better not complain if you're losing $500 on the load to service the customer, because as somebody who is out there actively prospecting, there's not a plethora of new opportunities that are just waiting for you to come in there. So it's like, yeah, it sucks. It's pretty brutal to lose money on freight, but it's part of the game. And you got to look at it is you got to service these accounts, right? They don't need you when it's easy. Okay. They need you when things are challenging and when everybody else is dropping the ball. This is the time to shine. Okay. So this is something that, you know, again, after reaching out to my buddy Cody, he had said it's going to taper off here soon. This is a very short-term thing. He's already seen it happen on certain areas out there. But again, this is where partnerships come into play. Everybody wants to talk partnerships when they're winning. Very few people execute when there's a rate spike and they got to go in and take a loss on a load. I would probably argue that is why we're seeing some tender rejections out there right now is due to a lot of this. People are going to refuse to lose money on loads and they're just going to reject the freight. But again, that's that opportunity. There's very few opportunities that we have in transportation to separate ourselves from our competition. And when markets get tight and when you got to, you know, take a couple of L's on some loads here to service the account, that stands out, because if you're able to execute in a time when nobody else is, that's how you solidify those partnerships. So Nashville, Tennessee, Omaha, Nebraska, reefer, the epitome of stability. So go out there. I would say I would feel comfortable if you're in a spot market position with your customer to keep a very stable rate here moving forward. I would also feel very comfortable on this lane moving forward to lock in some long-term pricing via RFP or contract rates, depending on how your customer operates as a whole out there. But if you want your lane featured on this, you guys, all I need you to do, email podcast@thefreightcoach.com. Okay. Mondays are drive-ins, Wednesdays are reefer, Friday is flatbed. All right. That's how we break it down. Yes, we might switch it around a couple of times due to some guests who are going to come on and help you guys break it down. But again, I'm just giving you guys my perspective on how to actually read a freight market by somebody who actually moves freight, that actually owns a freight brokerage, that has actual customers that I ship with. Okay. So that's where we're coming from. I just want to help you guys understand this, because headlines can be deceiving at times. I am not incentivized to fearmonger anybody and to make one decision or another. I am here to just kind of help you guys understand what's actually going on, so you can go out there and win some more business. Like, there's a ton of opportunities out here, you guys, and I just want to help you guys do that. So if you want in on it, email podcast@thefreightcoach.com and we will answer it live on the show here. Everything's anonymous, you guys. I like, even with my newsletter, my team handles all of this stuff. I don't even know who sends in anything. They just send me a literal lane. So that's how anonymous it is out there. But also in regards to some overall market analysis and report as well, you guys, it looks like the spot rates across the board increased, and, you know, capacity has started to tighten, and you're kind of seeing that a lot out there. I just don't think it's flipped into a full-blown bull market just yet. I want to slip that in there. Again, I'm hoping it does, right? Like, I, as the owner of Freight Coach Logistics, very much hoping that we're going to go into a bull market here, and there's going to be some time to shine with some of our customers. I always err on the side of caution when it comes down to it, because I've seen seasonal flips happen, and I have personally made the mistake of jacking up my prices to try and insulate ourselves. Then I lost the business because of it. And then the market cooled back down, and then I begged and pleaded to get the freight back. And, it didn't always work out for me. So again, I always err on the side of caution. Trust me, I will be the first one to tell you if I think it's like a level 12 emergency to go out there. I just don't see it yet. And again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope it flips, and I hope, a lot of opportunities are going to come all of our way out there. But I will say this, all right? Again, as somebody who actually cold calls every single day, I am noticing a change in sentiment, all right? It's small, but I feel like there is a change in sentiment out there in some of my prospecting calls. Maybe I just sound that good on the phone. I don't think that's the case because I still get hung up on just like every single one of you. But I also know that at times the sentiment is kind of a little bit different out there than what it has been in the past. So take that for what it's worth. And let's jump into some articles here to break down, ladies and gentlemen. As always, links to these articles, you guys, are going to be uploaded into the show notes on iTunes and Spotify. I think they put it on YouTube as well. So you guys can click on these links, read these articles yourself, and formulate your own opinions, because no matter what, you guys, this is just my perspective. This is just how I read these articles and how I choose to apply them to my business. And the first article and the second article are kind of intertwined, but same, but different. First article, ttnews.com. The DOT and FMCSA Sweep removes 2,000 truckers and commercial motor vehicles out there. And it goes on, the subtitle is the Trump administration's nationwide Safe Drive initiative leads to out-of-state service orders and dozens of arrests. And, again, I think that this administration has shown that they are not slowing down. And I know I've mentioned this on the show. I think they are going to continue to drop the hammer on a lot of this stuff. And again, I want any and all illegal operations off the road. I can't be any more clear with that one. If you are not up to standard, i.e. the word standards, you shouldn't be operating. All right. Because I shouldn't be held to a standard and then you can skirt the rules. I don't believe in that at all. I believe in one way of operating for everybody. And if you're not doing it, you're out. All right. So this article, coming out of DC, obviously the US DOT and the FMCSA concluded a massive sweep in January of 2026. This wasn't just standard roadside inspections where they're, doing your normal stuff, right? So normal DOT roadside inspection, lights, tire tread, stuff like this. This was a big data purge. And for months, we have heard the major carriers like the Schneiders and the Knight Swifts of the world predicting that capacity would exit through regulation. And after January, it shows that a compliance hammer has happened. And we just broke that down, right? Schneider was talking about that. I think it was last week, how they expect a capacity purge to continue to happen. And it looks like the DOT is kind of backing that up. And it goes on to say that, thousands of power units were pulled out of service, but the focus was very, very specific. The DOT targeted non-domiciled CDL status, language proficiency, and driver training school certifications. And I think that was one of the key ones. And again, I was talking about this back in August, that they should look into the driver training schools. And, I am of the opinion, and Secretary Duffy, I know you and your team watch this show, but I would assume they're all connected. All right. And I've mentioned this on the show. I would look into the insurance companies next. All right. I would beg to argue that the majority of these chameleon carriers and a lot of these companies who are operating on the road right now are probably all air quote insured by the same handful of insurance companies. So I think it's that. And I think that's the next step. And that's where you're going to find that, right? Because they already went after the ELDs. They went after the CDL schools. I would probably bet the house potentially on the fact that they're all insured with the same handful of insurance companies. And that's going to be the next iteration of this. So mark your calendars, ladies and gentlemen. By March, we're probably going to see that the focus is now on fraudulent insurance. But, they're obviously looking at that gray market of capacity that has, kept rates artificially low. I do want to say, because not all non-domiciled carriers are breaking the law. All right. I need to interject that because I am unfortunately on social media a lot for this show to try and find some stuff out. I see some absolute ridiculous takes that are out there, and not all non-domiciled CDL drivers and carriers are breaking the law. Data paints a different picture out there, but I just like to interject that because it's baffling to me. I would say that, okay, so then this is the first time in years that we've seen the government move this aggressively to filter the carrier pool base based on paperwork rather than safety scores. If a carrier couldn't prove the driver's English language, or if the CDL was tied to blacklisted driving schools, they were benched. This is the great rationalization in real time. We have a market that is and hold on, the DOT just took making the hands off the unqualified. For us as brokers or shippers, the available truck list we saw in December is slowly drying up, and thousands of these trucks are now ghost capacity. They might look active on paper, but legally they are sitting on the sidelines. And I saw a post yesterday. I believe it was Dale Prax, and if it wasn't him, I apologize, and I'll give credit to whomever put it. But I swore I saw it from Dale Prax that he had saw that there was a driver that was pulled over in the state of Illinois last week. I believe it was on like a Thursday, and don't quote me on the specific days, but they failed the English language proficiency, the CDL that they were given, and then they dug in a little bit onto his immigration. He was allowed into the country on like Monday of that week through the state of Washington. So like, think about that for perspective, you guys. It's 2,000 miles from Seattle to Chicago. All right. That driver got in to the country on Monday of that week and was pulled over on Thursday of that week in the state of Illinois and failed the English language proficiency. So it's like they essentially got cleared, and I don't know if what their immigration status was, but they essentially got cleared on Monday, got in a truck on Monday, and started driving right away. Like, how does that happen? How is there no probationary grace period or anything like that out there? So, like, I think that what is going on right now is very much needed. Okay, we need to do this. I think that we cannot have our roadways. We need to make them as safe as possible for the motoring public. And if there is anybody out there who cannot follow these standards in the market, they need to be removed. All right. And like with the state of Florida and the article I broke down last week, I hope more states actually adopt that, because like I have mentioned on this show in the past, I want them to penalize these individuals who are putting the motoring public at known risk. I want them to punish them so severe that they will deter people from even thinking about doing something like that in the future. Because like this is, it's absurd. It's absurd. And we're going to talk about this a little bit further in the next article about the chameleon carriers that are out there, you guys, and stuff like that. But like if I was a broker, which I am, and if I was out there, if I was a shipper as well, I would be doing a carrier audit right now. I would be seeing who is in my system that is air quote active, that might be out of service now. And, you know, again, there might be some data delays and stuff that come along with it. But again, you guys, you're going to have to be assessing your carrier network very often. I know internally a bunch of capacity was removed from our system due to some non-domiciled issues that were out there. And that was an internal thing, a decision that we had made. And it was like a non-domiciled failure, right? So it's one of those things that you should be doing that. And if you're a shipper and you have direct carriers in your network, I would definitely be looking at a lot of that stuff here right now. But again, this is not something that is slowing down, it looks like. And I think the current administration is going to continue to push this. As long as it results in safer roadways and a set standard that equals the playing field and doesn't allow people to come in and skirt the rules, I'm all for it. We need a standard. Standards are a good thing, and they need to come down. But that article, ttnews.com, DOT FMCSA Sweep removes 2,000 truckers and commercial motor vehicles. Next article. This one has been gaining a lot of steam out there, and who knows, it might be dropping steam now at this point because it's been out for a while. And This one is from overdriveonline.com, and the FMCSA is investigating the Chameleon Carrier Network after the deadly Indiana crash. And I'm sure everybody out there had saw that. 4 individuals were killed in the state of Indiana that was out there. And yeah, so this one, I think also, and again, I want to interject here, you guys, the TIA has been fighting this on Capitol Hill for like 12 years now. Chris Burrows, president, CEO of TIA, been on the show a bunch of times. He's out there actively fighting this. So like, this isn't a new thing. And that's like the problem with the news cycle today is people act like, where did this all come from? People have been fighting this stuff for a very, very long time on Capitol Hill. And it just, again, our government works at the speed of molasses in January. So yeah, into this article. I think this one is one that a lot of brokers are potentially going to lose sleep over. And there's a lot hinging on this C.H. Robinson Supreme Court case coming up here next month, you guys. So they are, the FMCSA is now openly investigating this Chameleon Carrier Network. And then for people who are unfamiliar, a Chameleon Carrier is a carrier that racks up safety violations, gets shuts down, and then reopens a few days later under a new name and DOT number, but with the same equipment and same owners. Another very highly publicized case of this was a few years ago back in Colorado when a unqualified driver lost control of his truck going down the mountains and killed a bunch of people. I had the expert witness on the show here a couple of years ago talking about this, but that specific carrier literally was shut down and reincarnated within like 48 hours. It absolutely obscene that was able to happen, but that wasn't the current administration in 2023 when that happened. So we just got to go with the fact that at least they're looking into it right now. The FMCSA they're not just looking at logbooks, you guys, they're literally, it seems like they're using digital forensics, which let's go to the state of Wyoming and Southern California where they have like 9,000 MCs registered to the same 2 addresses. I'm over exaggerating that one, but that's a very real thing. And, obviously they're tracking IP addresses, matching physical office footprints, often virtual mailboxes, and identifying identical insurance origins. Weird. It's like I just said that. DOT, FMCSA, I guarantee they're all insured under the exact same companies or network of insurance companies. Look there. I think that's going to expose a lot. They are proving that these fresh authorities are just the same unsafe operations. So it's yes. I look at it, a lot of brokers I know, and again, for the smaller fleets out there and the startups, this is one of the reasons why brokers have you need to have active authority for 30, whether it's 30 days, 90 days, 3 months, a year. I don't know, whatever most brokers choose, but I think that this is going to change things as well. And then again, there's a lot hinging on the Supreme Court case with C.H. Robinson on this. I think that depending on which way that goes, and I truly feel that they are going to win that one, but this is going to potentially fundamentally change how brokers can select carriers that are out there. I think that there is very telltale signs. And again, there's a lot of great technology companies, you guys, that list all of this stuff out, right? Matching IP addresses, matching phone numbers, matching email addresses, VIN numbers, all of that. So like all of this stuff is out there. So like there should be no excuse in your position to know that, to not book that carrier that also had the same email address with 14 other trucking companies. So again, I look at it is with where the FMCSA is going here, carrier vetting software is only going to become more and more valuable. That is out in the market. I look at it is when you guys know that stuff, those red flags, you run with in the opposite direction as fast as humanly possible. And, I look at it and again, the broker liability aspect of this could potentially fundamentally change here next month with the Supreme Court case and C.H. Robinson. I know I've already mentioned that, but it's very, very pertinent to this. It could do that. It could change it a lot, but we will see. I would very much follow that case if I was a freight broker. But, an action item, you guys, I would go as far as like Googling addresses. Now, if you haven't, like go to Google Maps, Google them, see where this is. If this is like a 15, 20 truck operation that's registered to a PO box in Sheridan, Wyoming, might want to not book them. I'm picking on Sheridan because that's one of those cities out there in the carrier verse that just gets hammered with multiple authorities at the same stuff. Or if it's a virtual mailbox, stuff like that, you guys, I would just not book them. I think that this could save you guys a lot of headache. Okay. It really could. And, again, it's standards are a good thing, you guys. I'm not going to harp on the fact that, because I don't believe that all non-domicile drivers are the problem, like a lot of people on the internet. But I also look at it as we need to go a little bit further than what we normally has. And vetting software compiles a lot of this data, but you got to take it a step further out there to protect your organization. That article was from overdriveonline.com. FMCSA investigating Chameleon Carrier Network after deadly Indiana crash. And third and final article we're going to break down is my favorite organization, the Teamsters. Article 3 is from FreightWaves. Teamsters union sues UPS to block delivery driver buyouts. Labor union says pending plan doesn't fairly compensate workers and violates the contract. UPS is in a very tough spot. Obviously, they're facing higher operating costs and shifting parcel market, and they're been trying to slim down their workforce through voluntary buyouts. It sounds like a standard business move, right? But not unless you have a unionized workforce or a portion of it, because they are going to always cry foul. The union argues that these buyouts are a direct attempt to circumvent the master agreement. Maybe you guys fought for a little too much money out there. All right. Again, I'm not anti-fair compensation, but I think they overplayed their hand with this one. UPS is claiming, they claim UPS is trying to cherry pick the senior workforce and weaken collective bargaining power by negotiating directly with the drivers instead of through the union. This is a massive truth bomb for anyone who thought labor relations would be quiet after the last contract. I think it's going to get a lot worse for the Teamsters, if I'm being honest with you. Again, I'm not anti-driver, all right? Because every time I mention the union on this, it is undoubtedly drives a bunch of chiming on social media from union members about how I won't even mention it on the show. But I look at it as this is going, like, what did you expect to happen? Like, honestly, what did you expect to happen? This is how corporations really operate when they're not making any money, right? Because, like, you got to be profitable to pay them. So it's like, what's the alternative here? Are you going to just drive your workers out to the picket line and put them under? Or are you going to potentially renegotiate with UPS to potentially lower that? But how is that going to look with your members? I think the Teamsters are in a very, very tough spot here. And I think that this is going to reignite some serious tension. And because I know that the Teamsters are obviously going to try and fight for their members. That's their fiduciary responsibility out there. I just think it's going to be a very uphill battle. And UPS is doing what every business does in these situations, right? I'm not arguing if it's ethical, right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm just stating what most people do. I just look at it as I think the Teamsters overplayed their hand. They're going to be in a very tough spot here because I don't know how you could convince your members to strike here and potentially walk and picket. I could be wrong, but like I think the Teamsters overplayed their hand. I think UPS is going to do what they got to do to protect their business, as every business does. And again, I always like to throw this out there. The Teamsters should just literally start their own trucking company and compete in the open market, because if their way of operating is as good as they like to market, go out there and compete in the open market. All right. Because again, I'm not saying that anybody should go and pay subhuman wages that are going on out there, but I talked about this topic ad nauseum when this was all going down. And I had said back then, it's great that people are making that much money, but how long is it going to last? And here's your answer. I think that they're going to do what they got to do to get out of it. And I think the Teamsters are going to be in a very tough position here moving forward. But I think if you're competing with UPS in any market, whether it's LTL or something like that, this could be a good selling point because, this is the free market. Get in there, get that business. But that article you guys was from freightwaves.com, talking about the Teamsters suing UPS. But that is going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling ambitious, rank it on iTunes and Spotify, because if you see value, your network's going to see it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang, window down, yelling out money, anything.